we're having a conversation about the year ahead. Hey.
Yay.
Right, so we obviously sent out an appeal. Well, Joy and I did that video in November where we sort of said this is what we'd like to do. We've got the DAC go ahead, and then we sent out the letter to the congregation asking for pledges towards funding that work. By Christmas, we have had a total of 135,000 or so pledged from members of the congregation. With the reserves that we've got from the PCC and with previous donations, we're up to about £300,000.
Yeah, which I think is phenomenal, given where we are and what everyone's been through. That just is just a brilliant sign of people's faith in.
And I think it marks an intention that we want to do something else. Obviously, if we were to do the whole project straight up, we're talking a lot more money than that. But it's a really good start. The DCC have said that we can go ahead and do the next bit, sort of to find out where we're up to. So I've contacted the architect to look at phasing it. So we could do the whole, if we had the money and everything fell into place, we could do the whole project all at once. But I think we're going to end up with a staged approach. So the first stage would be considering all the heating system, taking out the pews and doing the floor. The heating issue is quite a massive issue, but we obviously need to do that. Something has to happen, because I don't know if you came into church before Christmas, but it was freezing in there.
Absolutely. I remember putting the Christmas tree up and it was warmer outside than it was inside.
Yeah, good thing it's a plastic tree.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I talked to you about describing Hope 2021 as in terms of what we're going to do this year, because Hope's obviously been going along for a long time. It's been delivering lots of smaller projects on the community side, and people might think it's all got a bit fixated on building. So I think it'd be really nice for Hope 2021 to broaden back out again, to look at the wider picture, the bigger picture, because sometimes you think the community's got to come first, and then you think, well, I can't do the community unless I've got a building, and so it feels like this chicken and egg thing, which comes first. And
what does hope mean? I mean, obviously I know what hope means as a concept, but I think it stands for something. Is that right?
Yeah, so hope stands for helping other people engage, and that's not just people as in the community, it's the congregation itself. So it's about building ourselves up and encouraging each other, as well as going out to engage with the community, and that could be outside the buildings or it could be inside the buildings, both the church hall and the church. So to me, that it's quite encompassing, it's quite broad, which is why you have to break it down into smaller bits of work, you know, because that's quite a big vision.
My feeling being the building, when we've done, you know, the actual church building, when it's warmer and more usable because it hasn't got pews, suddenly there's a flexibility. It's a large space in Chippenham. And there aren't that many large spaces in Chippenham that could be used for all sorts of different things and fairly adapted to space.
Yeah, I think it's really important that obviously we keep going with the reordering work, but I think some people have felt that it's a bit like a three-legged stool with one of the legs is a bit wonky, you know, and I think that's why it'll be good to broaden this out in terms of people's engagement, in terms of looking at, well, how can we use this space? So I think it's good that we've got the reordering work going on. There's more funding work to be done, obviously. So Adam's going to be looking from end of January, February onwards at how we can try and find funding to match what the congregation has already dramatically committed to. So whilst we've got these three legs, which are the funding and the building and the community, we need to hold those three legs together. And my vision is that the seat is actually the project, that's the glue that keeps it all together. And part of that project work is having a special prayer team. Now, lots of people have been praying about this, the response before Christmas was so overwhelming that was surely a Holy Spirit led response. But we could really do with a small specific project prayer team, that when we find we've got hurdles, we've got problems, we've got risks, we can bring those to the prayer team to specifically pray God into that situation.
So what's really nice with that idea, and I think people hopefully will get behind that, is actually there are some people who aren't bothered with talking about boilers and pews or where do you get the funding from, or actually might not be able to, for various reasons, get out and do stuff in the community. But this is something that everybody can be a part of, isn't it? This is
absolutely, yeah. I think God's given us all skills. We're part of Christ's body, hands, feet, arms, legs. We all can play a part in it, whether it's praying, doing, fixing, talking, whatever.
Yeah, I genuinely think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We've never got to this stage with the DAC and the plans for the building itself. And this time when we've got COVID and we're not in the building, actually it's helping us see church in a different way. And people are connecting in different ways. We genuinely think this is God's opportunity, but it's a big jump, it's a big leap. And I think that's just a test of faith, isn't it? And it's just going with what we really genuinely feel God is calling us to.
So you've talked about the thousands of pounds that's going to be spent on a building, but I think it's important to remind people that actually, as a congregation, we already tithe from our regular giving into an outreach budget, so that there is already a budget for community work that could be used today, but we'll also be using that budget in the future when we've got projects that want to launch in the new building. We'll have some money to support those projects right from day one. I think it's important that we remember that our mission is outreach and hope for the congregation, for the community, but also to build each other up as a community, especially when we've been so dispersed during COVID.
Yeah. I think I've probably got more than I could ever